Okay, we're unmuted.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome. I would like to call to order this meeting of the Lincoln County Board of Commissioners. It is January 4th, 2023, our first meeting of the new year. First item of business is confirming a quorum, and yes, Commissioner Claire Hall, I'm here. Commissioner Katie Jacobson is here. And for the first time in his new role as County Commissioner, Commissioner Casey Miller.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, wow. Wow is just the word I'll use.
Glad to have you up here with us,
Thank you.
Casey.
Glad to be here.
Next order of business is the annual appointment of a chair and vice chair of the Lincoln County Board of Commissioners. This time, I'd like to open nominations for the 2023 BOC chair.
Well, I would move we appoint Commissioner Jacobson as chair.
And I'll second that motion. All in favor of appointing Commissioner Jacobson, please say aye.
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 Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, now we need to appoint a vice chair. And I will make a motion that we appoint our new Commissioner Miller to be vice chair for this next year.
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all right. Commissioner Hall, can I borrow your gavel
Of
for
course.
today? Thank you. Yep. All right, so up next is our employee recommendation. We do this at the first meeting of every month to recognize our employees at each of their 5-year intervals. So I'm going to call out our employees. Where are, oh, you have them. Would you be willing to run those out to people? Okay, great. First employee is Carmen Gavette from the tax department, who is celebrating 25 years of service. You have to come on. All right. Thank you, Carmen. Next is Erin DeHane from Health and Human Services, 5 years of service. Is Erin here? No? Okay. Next is Paul Garcia from the Sheriff's Office, 5 years of service. And next is Carla During from the Clerk's Office for 5 years of service. Is Carla here? No? Okay. Yeah. And finally is Sarah Hurd from Health and Human Services for 5 years of service. Sarah's here. Thank you to all our employees for celebrating your time with us. And I also want to say, starting this year, we're going to start weaving in our elected officials and that recognition. I think it's just something we hadn't done previously, but we're going to start adding them into that as well.
Great.
Next up is new hire introduction. So who is, oh, please step forward.
Good morning. For the record, my name is Tiana Alcader, Human Resources Assistant for Lincoln County. I am going to go ahead and read off the names of the folks who were unable to attend, and then the ones that are here will come up and introduce themselves. We do have a couple from last month who weren't able to join that will be introducing themselves today this morning as well. So to start off with, we have Samantha Buckley returning to the Sheriff's Office as our Assistant Emergency Manager. We have Jessica Gordon coming to us as a Deputy District Attorney 3 in the District Attorney's Office. We have Stacy Kerrigan, a Youth Care Specialist 1 within Community Justice, the Juvenile Department. And then we also have Hayden Atlas, an on-call Youth Care Specialist with the Community Justice Juvenile Department.
So for those of you in person, you get to introduce yourself and then you get to go over there and stand awkwardly while we take a photo. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. Good morning, commissioners, Tim and Kristen. Doug Holbrook. You already know I'm with your legal team, so happy to be here. And
Welcome. Thank you, Doug. Yeah.
Thank you, Doug.
Yay. All right, next.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Trina Trevino, and I am with the Health and Human Services, at Lee Street Behavioral Health Front Desk Support.
Welcome. Thank
Welcome.
you. Yeah.
Good morning. My name is John Clavette. I'm a user support specialist with information technology.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Claudia Tower. I'm with the assessor's office as an assessment specialist.
Welcome back,
Welcome.
right? Yeah.
I'm Mindy Mosier, Front Desk Support Services for Behavior Health.
Welcome.
Welcome.
You got it?
Take three.
Okie dokie, free.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, and something I would just like, I'm going to put Council Yule on the spot here. I think it's important to let all of our employees know, as well as our existing employees, that we have an open door policy, and maybe Kristen can just spend a couple minutes talking about what that means.
Located in the personnel rules, there's an open door policy, meaning just in the spirit of transparency, if there's a concern that any employee has, they can take it to a commissioner. They can take it to the HR director, one of the county councils. I think that's it, and county administrator. So, yeah.
So again, welcome. We hope we don't see you just in 5 years. We hope you see you before that. Please feel free to reach out at any time. Welcome. Thank you. All right, moving on to the adoption of our consent calendar. These are items of a routine nature that are up for adoption. Either commissioners or staff can highlight an item or pull an item out for further discussion if needed. I'll give everyone a minute to look at that, and if someone is ready, they can either pull an item, discuss an item, or make a motion.
Madam Chair, I'd move for approval of the consent calendar as presented.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion carries. Next up under public hearing is STIF, which stands for State Transportation Improvement Program project list for the 2023-2025 biennium. And I think Cinda Bruce, our transit director, is going to present.
Good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning, Cinda.
I send that.
Let's see, I think this is our third biennium that we're just getting into, the 23 to 25. Unfortunately, shortly after the first biennium started, COVID hit. So a lot of our projects did not move forward. We were having problems just maintaining services. And a lot of our projects were to enhance services. So there was some funding over the past two bienniums that have been carried forward. I was really careful when I put together my project list so that ongoing projects would not be over the amount of our annual or biennial allocations. So we have some one-time wish list stuff in here that we were able to do. It's not really wish list, it's like buses and things we need to do to provide service. But would you like me to go over our priority list?
Yeah.
There's 14 projects, including a contingency. The number one priority that the committee ranked was school transportation. The STIF funds mandate 1% of the funding be spent on school transportation. And this is one of the projects we were able to start right off the bat. It's been very successful. It's for students in grades 9 through 12. And what we do is we have the students show their student body cards for their passes, and they can travel anywhere inside Lincoln County.
Cindy, could I ask how long this has been in place now?
Oh my gosh, this has been in place. I think we were able to start it like in
Before COVID.
Yeah, right before like 2019.
I think.
Great, yeah, so this is then continuation of funding
Yes,
to. Yeah,
that's
okay.
right. And it's been very, like I said, it's been very successful. What we have done is we can be reimbursed for grades 9 through 12 through this funding. What the committee, through discussion, has decided is that we are going to allow students in grades 7 through 12 utilize this, because as you look through the county, most of our high schools are kind of combined with the old middle schools, like in Newport and in Lincoln City. I know they all are. In Walport, they're very close in, they're very close. So instead of our drivers having to, count the years till their graduation or whatever, it's easier just to be more inclusive. And why wouldn't we want to start our younger students in grades 7 through 8 getting used to using the transit system? So
Great.
really, for the good it's going to bestow on the community, it's really not that much of a cost. So that's project number 1. Project 2 is to market transit services. And we're doing a pilot project in this as well. We are going to we're going to implement a CDL training program where we're going to use the trucking company out of, I think it's around Albany somewhere. And that person is actually going to come to our site to train people on the, there's 2 portions of this. One is like the driver training, knowing the information. And then the second part is behind the wheel training, where they actually have to get behind the wheel and drive. So behind the wheel and driving, we will work with Tillamook Transportation District in Tillamook with Kathy Bond, who's already certified for that. So we kind of have it set up. We got a job description made, because as they're being trained, of course, they'll be paid at a little smaller wage. But once they get their CDL, they'll move up. We're excited about it. We got the job posted not too long ago. I know that one of the supervisors was submitting an application this morning, so that's exciting. I'll keep you up to date on how that goes. We have 2 category D buses. These are I need to explain that the next biennium 23 to 25 is the first year that they're actually combining the STF with the STIF. The STF is the Senior and Disabled Special Transportation Fund. And they're combining those 2 pots of funding. So although my whole system is for everybody, and we don't have a bus just for elderly people and a bus for younger people, we want everybody to ride everything. I wanted to make it very transparent that the STF dollars are being spent for, being spent accordingly, according to the regulations. So I have 2 small dial-a-ride buses in here because our more frail residents tend to use the more curb-to-curb services. And then any funding in excess of what the buses are going to cost will be used towards ops. And right now, it's really hard to tell. We're having problems getting parts sometimes. I'm not sure where the costs are going to go. The state has asked us to inflate our budgets 20% to be prepared for that. And they've also asked us to add 20% to our total funding that they allocated to us, so that if the funding's more, we're going to be able to spend it. Our project number 4 is a fuel site upgrade and card reader. We partner very closely with different departments in the county, including the road department and Health and Human Services. And, we kind of run the gamut. So our buses, of course, utilize the fuel site and card reader often. There's some updates that need to be done to that in the amount of around $90,000. But it's just one of those things that we have to have. Number 5 is a transit building expansion. Actually, it's a public works building expansion. Let me make that clear. Road department building expansion. I've been working with Roy Kenyon and we've been discussing adding just a small portion on to get us by, because we're looking probably at 5 to 6 years before our transit building is going to be able to really be functional and ready to use. And we're pretty cramped. We've grown to where we're cramped in the road department out of their building, and we all just want to work in peace together. So we have the opportunity to do this during this funding cycle, and we're just going to do it. Once we move into our other building, the road department have many uses for what we will be adding on. So it's going to remain valuable asset to the county.
Nice.
Number 6 priority is miscellaneous bus maintenance equipment. And those will include LED maintenance bay lights, a tire changer. And this is going to sound kind of funky, but 2 ladders and a plank and 2 air guns. Our buses are really high in the front where our reader boards are. And they kind of put together things, tried to make it work, but it can be dangerous. So, they've kind of come to me and said, the best thing's going to be a couple really sturdy ladders and a plank, so we have something to stand on when we work above on the reader board.
Okay.
Then we have our South County Intercommunity Service, which will add Sunday service to our Yachats to Newport run. That'll make it, it'll be 10-hour. We operate 10 hours a day down there, so it'll be a 10-hour a week increase in service, and it will then operate 7 days a week. We're going to continue with our expanded Lincoln City Loop. That was another one of our projects we were able to start early on. And what that does is it included Sunday service and operating on holidays, with the exception of Christmas, Thanksgiving, and New Year's Day. Number 9 is our Costa Valley Express, and we're hoping to expand that by adding 1 midday loop. And that's really going to be beneficial to residents and people using the service, because right now, like if they miss the bus, there's no other way back. So we do well, but a midday run will make it a lot easier on residents and people using the service. Our 10th priority is to add Sunday service to the East County, which would be the blue line, because that's a 10-hour day, and to continue to serve the west side of Siletz. We actually started that part of the project, serving the west side of Siletz. It goes down by the charter school, the recreation area. I believe there's a childcare, a workout center. There's just so much over there that you really just don't think about unless you're there and use it. So that's also been popular. Number 11 is the South County Loop, and that is going to be our Walport City Circular. We have that scheduled to operate Monday through Saturday, 8 hours a day. And it will coordinate with the intercommunity bus so that people can get on down to Newport and throughout the county. Number 12 are match funds for grants. And that would be for our 5310, 5311, and our pedestrian access grant, which is a new transit hub that's going to be down there by Ray's Market. We're excited about that. My partners and I have recently put in for some extra funding through the STIF discretionary program because costs have gone up since we've started this this project, so we're hoping to pull down a little more so that that's covered. And this is a phased grant. So this is like phase 3 or phase 4. So I'm hoping that they'll see the value in this is our last step to project completion. And project 13 is our contingency. We'd like to have a safety net, especially right now for cost overruns or unexpected events. And project number 14, and you guys probably get so tired of hearing this, but what am I going to talk about when I get this done? Is for our bus stop sign.
I think that's the first thing you told me on my first day as a commissioner. So poor Casey who gets the same thing. Yeah. One day, Cinda, one day.
And I'm telling you, it is, I recently started talking to the Council of Governments because, you know, sometimes they assist us with things and they're kind of looking back on things and giving me some information like on some good places to post our RFP, etc. We have a lot of the legwork done on this. It just hasn't been sitting there. It's just that I know as a county, you all know how hard it's been just to get people to bid on things or there's shortages everywhere, it just seems like. So those are the STIF committee's recommendations for the prioritization of the projects. Do any of you have questions about any of the projects? Or?
I do have some questions. I'll go through my list quickly and then see if Commissioner Miller or Commissioner Hall do. But
okay.
On item 3, can we actually get buses right now? I mean, in terms of just supply chain and sourcing these, like how far out are we from ordering them to getting them?
Well, I have to tell you, that is another reason why I kind of thought this would be the better fit for these buses is because there are not 2-year limits on these funds. These funds can be carried over as
In
needed.
case we can't actually get them in 2
Right.
years. Yeah.
We
Okay.
won't lose the contract.
Yeah. And then I guess on items 8 through 8, 9, 10, 11, do we actually have drivers to do these extended services right now? Or, you know, when do we think we would have drivers to actually do them?
Right now, my operations and field supervisors are driving 2 to 3 days a week. I have 3 people out on family medical leave. It's been pretty tough, but we're maintaining services. We are maintaining services. I'm really hopeful that this new CDL trainee program is going to help. Because what I don't want to do is have drivers trying to move to this area for a job when there's no housing. So that's another reason why we wanted to think out of the box and get people who are established here to get their CDL, and hopefully they will love working with the county. And, you know, the county has great benefits. So I think we have a lot to sell to folks wanting to work for us.
So 8, 9, 10, and 11, even though that's in the project list for this year, it really is dependent on having drivers.
Absolutely.
Okay.
These were all. Okay.
I just don't want someone to see this and think this new service is happening tomorrow. That's
These
kinda-
were all on our list. Now 8 has started,
Oh, okay.
but the 7 hasn't. So, you know, we transpose the 7 and 8 and you are
Okay.
correct.
Okay.
So, yeah, all we can do is plan and do everything we can to get the staffing up.
Yeah.
This is my dream here.
Item 5, the transit building expansion. I'd certainly heard of the plans at some point to build a joint transit and emergency management building. I haven't heard
Yes.
of the public works building expansion as sort of a Band-Aid approach. So I guess at some point we can talk
Talk
more
about
about that.
That,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Katie. This has not been something that's been swirling around for a while. This is something that came up quite quickly, and this process it's just a really quick process. So I apologize for not having the time to speak to you about this. Roy and I were talking about things, and it was just brought up as a concept, and we felt it would be a really good way to go until we're able to do the other.
Building. Okay.
We're,
Thanks.
2 of my employees are upstairs, and it's an ADA accessibility thing, so
Yeah.
so we're pushing for it.
Okay. Commissioner Hall, questions?
The bus stop signs,
Oh,
are these brand new ones replacing existing ones or both?
Lincoln City has done a very good job of working with us, and they actually go out and put out signs for us. They put up shelters. They are just anything they can do to help us. But other areas are not quite as, and it could be staffing shortages. It could be a lot of things.
Yeah. So new and existing signage?
Right.
Yeah. Because I know signs don't last forever.
No, they don't. So, yeah, we need our regulars pretty much know where the stops are and where to stand. But even if you say, the stops here, well, there can be a lot of places you can stand. So we really want to have signage so people, it's really apparent where the bus is going to be stopping.
Very good. Don't have any other questions, just an observation I'd like to make is that, I hope people will look at this list and realize there are projects, service expansion, north, south, east of county, and with our connection with Benton County as well. I know that you always keep in mind as you build services to make sure that no area of the county is left behind, and I really appreciate that.
The areas, they know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Commissioner Miller, questions?
Yeah, a few questions and observations. Cinda, for that new person who wants to start a career with driving, how long does it take to get a CDL? And does someone look at an investment of 8 hours? So what is that acclimation or training time like?
There's about a week's education before they can get to the behind the wheel testing.
Okay.
So it's about a week of investment. And then, when they go to Tillamook to do the behind the wheel testing, it's just like a driver test. So it's just I imagine probably an hour or under.
Yeah, feels like a lot of responsibility.
Doesn't it? Yeah.
Any thoughts for anyone who thinks they're nervous about this work at all? What would you say to them in regard to, you can do this? Because I would be nervous driving a bus full of people, but is it easier or harder than it looks?
Casey, if you'd like to join my team, I'd love to have you.
I think we're gonna keep you busy.
Well, I do have some pictures of you back, testing our services, which I
That's
think
right.
it's something that I need to do. It's been a while since I've been on one of our buses.
That would be nice. And I also need to let you know that the week training and the driver training is simply to obtain the CDL. After that, then you start on the other types of trainings, the customer service, the wheelchair tie downs, there's all kinds of goodies that they get to learn about.
It's certainly an asset to have transit. That 20% they're recommending you add, is that the same as your contingency safety net, or are those two different concepts?
Those are two different.
Okay. And then you said we're combining STIF, STF and STIF officially.
STIF is STIF,
Okay.
the statewide transportation improvement program. Which is a larger pot of money. STF has traditionally been less.
Okay.
But putting them together gives us a lot more flexibility on what we can do.
That's good. That's good. Now we're here under a public hearing, but your advisory committee is already met. There's chances for public interface to develop
Absolutely.
these recommendations. So that's already been vetted to a certain degree. So why are we in a public hearing if we've already kind of had that?
I just wanted to give the opportunity if somebody was unable to make the other two meetings we've already had, that it would
Okay.
give them another opportunity. Public Transit Division loves transparency
Mhm.
and the ability for people to just to weigh in on projects.
So are we moving today to approve this, or is this just more of an update and there's other? Oh.
You know, my role,
Oh,
Casey, no.
Wait, okay, before you go there, let me double check here. Well, thanks for all the work and to the committee as well. This looks absolutely fantastic and it's nice to see it expanding, so.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Cinda, would you like me now to open up the public hearing and see if we have any public comment around this? Okay, great. So I'm going to open up the public hearing for the State Transportation Improvement Program for the project list for 2023, 2025. I will first, and all our audience leaves right as we do this.
That's
you.
enough of me.
Have a good
Thank
day.
I will first see if we have any public comment through our public hearing online. So Geneva, can you bring our people up? And if you are participating online today and would like to give comments specifically to the State Transportation Improvement Program project list, please raise your virtual hand. Click over the attendees button instead of panelists. There we go. Okay. Don't see anyone there. Do we have anybody in the audience in person that would like to give public comment on the State Transportation Improvement Program list? I don't see anybody. Okay. So Cinda, as a point of order here, do you want to bring this back next week for adoption? Or are you under a time constraint to do that, or? Close the public hearing. Yes.
I have submitted a board agenda item for next week just for action.
Okay.
I need to let you know that I will not be able to be in attendance because I'm having a state review of our program, but I would be available for a phone call if there was something urgent.
Okay. So it'll go next week for decision action.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cinda.
All right. Next up on decision action, we have approval of grant contract EMPG 22520. And I have to say, I am not sure which item this is. And looking in my packet, I am not sure which item this is either. So Administrator Johnson, emergency management. Yeah, EM, that would make sense.
Okay.
Is this the sheriff's office is presenting this? No. Okay. Do we have Administrator Johnson? Do you have more information on this, or?
I asked for the county based form for all grants and didn't get it. So if I could get that, would be helpful. But this is a grant from the state of Oregon Office of Emergency Management. And it's a matching grant that helps and assists us with programmatic services in our efforts to address issues associated with the unfortunate circumstance of a natural disaster in our county.
And this is the same internal grant we've been doing for many years, or is this different?
This is the
Your
end.
annual grant?
Yeah.
Okay.
And no significant changes.
Okay.
Yeah, but to the point is that we have a grant form that we need to fill out when we get these grants. That's what I was. looking
So do we, Administrator Johnson, do you want us to approve this? Do you want it to come back with the grant form in the following
for.
week?
That would be helpful if we could
Okay.
do that.
Okay.
That
sounds
way you
reasonable to
know
me.
exactly what our requirements, if any, and the match are,
Mm.
and anything that goes along with this. No, we have a grant form.
Okay, so I'm going to say, how about we have Administrator Johnson maybe work with Janita Maris, our emergency manager in the sheriff's office on getting the prepper stuff that needs to accompany this for next week.
Right.
Does that sound good?
But again, this is our annual, and so
Okay.
we'll get that processed.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll kind of move that off of today's agenda for decision action and on to next week potentially. All right, now on to discussion information. We have the Elk City Water System Master Plan, Civil West Proposed Engineering Scope Services, and I think Mr. Gardner is presenting that.
Morning, Brian Gardner, Assistant County Counsel for Lincoln County. As a reminder, I know Commissioner Miller was here on September 21st, but in a different capacity. So we had a discussion and information item on September 21st of 2022, which had to do with a request for qualifications. And Elk City Civil West provided that RFQ that we went over at that time. And this has to do with the Elk City water system improvements. This is just for consulting services, not for any kind of construction or anything like that. And so their request from the request for qualifications and the paperwork they submitted at that time, we asked them to do a scope of services, and that is what we're here today to look at the scope of services. After that's reviewed, what I'd be asking for is for direction from the board as to whether or not to start contract negotiations. So you would see a contract later after if the scope of services is approved. And of course, it can be modified and be worked out in the contract, but generally this is for consulting services to see kind of what is needed, what can be done for the Elk City water system.
Thank you. And just a reminder, this was a project that we approved for ARPA funding several months ago. If there's questions about the proposal, I do see Kevin Shreve, who created the proposal, sitting in the back. So if we had questions for him, he is here. And then I think we have some Elk City residents as well. If they perhaps have. Thanks. So commissioners, is there any questions about the proposal? Would you like to hear from Kevin in terms of giving an overview or anything, or?
I think a brief overview from Kevin would be helpful.
Okay.
Yeah,
Kevin,
maybe we
would
could
you come
start
up?
there.
Yeah.
That'd be wonderful.
Do you want a copy of it, Kevin, to look at as you?
I think.
You got it in your head? Okay. All right, please introduce. Oh, it's on the screen. You can if you could introduce yourself for the record, that would be great.
You bet. Kevin Shreve with Civil West Engineering, and congratulations to Commissioner
Thank
Miller
you.
for your
Thank you.
position.
Good morning.
And appreciate working with the county and look forward. I didn't realize there would be a contingency here, but we look forward to working with the folks from Elk City, because that will be a very important part, is obviously the public, the information that will be gathered from the folks and to understand the system. So we look forward to that, to working with you. So thank you for being here. But anyways, the overview basically is their system's very small. They do have an intake in a small stream there, and basically a water master plan, which this is. You really look at all 5 of a water distribution system, or of a water system. You look at water rights, you look at water intake, you look at water quality. Currently, there is no treatment facility there, as they're pulling water just straight out of the creek. So there may or may not be the need for treatment, but we'll look at that. Obviously, distribution and storage will be the 5 components of a water system, water master plan. And we'll take a look at all 5 of those components and provide any kind of recommendations that we feel like could be that are necessary today and or in the future, with future regulations that we're aware of coming down the pike. So with that said, it's a small system, so it shouldn't be too extravagant, but part of that master plan is also important for future funding. If there are some improvements, if there are some deficiencies that are found, then we will use that master plan to go after some additional funding. And I will tell you, the county here has been remarkable with getting funding for projects. And my hat is tipped to you as leaders of this county for your work and your efforts throughout the county. So who knows what'll come with Elk City. So we'll see what we can do. But this is, as mentioned, this is at the very beginnings. There's no construction, there's no design. This is just simply evaluating the system.
Thank you, Kevin. Questions from Commissioner Hall?
And so our action item would be to approve developing a contract. That would be the next step.
I believe so.
I think it would be approving this proposed scope of work.
Yeah, approving the
Yeah.
proposed scope of work, which would be followed by development of a
Yeah,
contract.
just basically
Okay.
direction, if you'd like, if the board would like, the legal department to work out a contract with Civil West.
Commissioner Miller, question?
Well, first, just an observation. In my neighborhood, we have a water system that serves 19 residences. And the master plan that we had in our private organization, we just absolutely needed that. It was like the roadmap of where to go. So this to me just seems absolutely essential. Is the funding contingent on the scope of work, or we're just doing good business?
So this is ARPA money. We've already approved that funding to be used to a certain amount. This is just the legal process to go forth to have a contract to do the work.
Okay.
We work backwards.
Yeah.
Okay.
we do
Commissioner
work
Jacobson
backwards.
said,
Yeah.
here's your value, here's the dollar we think we can get, and what can you do for that amount? And we feel like we can do a very good study.
For this community, what tipped the scales, or just kind of historically, what brought you into the fold to see that this was a need?
I think within my first week of being here, Jim, who is in the audience, came and talked to me about their water system. And at that point in time, really wanting to connect into Elk City Park, because we have a water system the county does for its own park. And the thinking was for us to provide municipal water through there, which was kind of a no-go. And so there it sort of sat for several years. And then I think with the ARPA money, and one of the things you can use that money for is water and sewer and infrastructure.
Yeah.
It just felt like a nice fit. And I feel like sometimes there's things you hear about or needs in the community, and maybe you can't quite deal with it right then, but I always try to kind of put those things in the back of my head and then remember them for when maybe there is an opportunity. So I think the ARPA dollars created the opportunity to maybe do something about it. Additionally, what I would say, Commissioner Miller and Commissioner Hall as well, I actually got to go out and look at this water system at some point, and that might be something that you want to talk to Jim and others in the community and see if they'd be willing to. It is sort of a forced march, but march you out to go look at it as well.
Yeah, well, I got to go with Kevin up in Otis, and we were looking at the topography and absolutely essential for the community's growth. And I'm curious, Elk City, how many people use the system now? I mean, roughly ballpark?
9 homes, I believe,
Oh,
right?
9 homes.
12.
Oh, about 12. Okay.
But there's more properties than that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So for the future development of that area, this will really help you guys see what direction and what you're capable of. That's awesome. Okay.
All right. Any
Yeah,
other
this is
questions for
wonderful.
Kevin? No?
I don't.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to propose that we leave this on discussion and information and don't make decision this week. And we might have some potential public comment or something, from Elk City residents that want to make comment later on in our meeting, and then we can bring this back to decision and information next week. Everyone's okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank
Do
you,
you
Kevin.
need
Yeah.
me to stick around?
I don't think so.
I know these
Yeah.
meetings get very riveting, and I know I will miss a lot.
Riveting.
If it's okay, I came and I will.
Yeah. Thank you for
depart.
coming.
So thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate
Thank you,
it.
Kevin. Yeah.
Thanks, Kevin.
All right, next on to commissioner reports. Commissioner Miller, anything to report?
Well, I'm just acclimating, not a whole lot to report. Had the opportunity to meet with Administrator Johnson this morning and getting a sense of, what can I do now and what I'm looking for into the future. So I'm gonna do the deer in headlights for a little while and
You can get away with that for quite a
but-
while. Yeah.
yeah.
You can play the new commissioner card, but after that, everybody will expect you to be full throttle.
Well, thank you for your patience.
Certainly.
It's exciting to be here and I do think it'll take a little time to kind of as long as I've been with this organization to figure out how I can fit in best, as a commissioner. So I'm excited to be here and thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Commissioner Hall, anything to report?
Yes, at 11 o'clock, I will be joining a conference call with other elected officials from Lincoln and Tillamook County, and we'll be talking with incoming Governor Kotek's housing advisor and behavioral health advisor. During the campaign, the governor-elect put a lot of focus on those two issues and recognizes the interrelationship between them and and her advisors are doing a series of these convenings around the state, which I think is a really positive sign. I think we're going to see stronger leadership on these issues from the new administration than the outgoing administration, although outgoing Governor Brown has certainly helped steer us toward a lot more recognition and funding of these needs.
And the only thing I was going to report on was just that yesterday was the swearing in of our brand new county clerk, Amy Southwell, as well as a second term for our treasurer, Jane Wealth, and then the swearing in for our new Commissioner Miller and for myself as well in my second term. Really nice ceremony. And
Yes.
a big thanks to Judge Bakar, who did just a really heartfelt, wonderful job with that. So,
Agreed.
all right, moving on to public comment. Anyone online, Geneva? Nobody online, and I don't think we have anyone signed up. Anyone in the audience want to provide public comment? No? Okay, and then our meeting will adjourn. Our next meeting is Monday, January 9th at 10 a.m. in this room, as well as hybrid. Or sorry, that's our staff meeting, which is in this room and hybrid. And then our next Board of Commissioners meeting is January 11th, 2023 at 10 a.m. in this room and online as well. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.